we request all of you to rise up for the national anthem, followed by Tamil Nadu. We humbly request all other dignitaries to kindly take their respective seat. Ladies and gentlemen, as we now listen to Bharatiya as a modern song, Tamil Nadu, we recall the poetry of a proud, united and a self-reliant Bharat, a land that stands tall among all nations. This very spirit was brought to life by the Iron Man of India, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, whose leadership and determination united the diverse princely states into one strong nation. Let this nation be a tribute to both Bharatiya, who envisioned India's greatness through his works, and Sardar Patel, who realized that vision through his deeds.
தருவதிலே உயர்நாடு உயர்நாடு இந்த பாருக்குள்ளே நல்ல நாடு எங்கள் பாரத நாடு எங்கள் பாரத நாடு பாருக்குள்ளே நல்ல நாடு எங்கள் பாரத நாடு எங்கள் பாரத நாடு பாரத நாடு பாரத நாடு.
Thank you. As we gather today on the birth anniversary of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the architect of national unity, we begin our event with the lighting of the traditional lamp. The lamp signifies the dispelling of darkness and the awakening of knowledge. This as Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel united the diverse regions of our country with courage and conviction. May this light inspire us to work together in harmony and strength. We now humbly request the Honorable Governor to light the traditional lamp that could be elected. We welcome all other dignitaries in the dais also to light the lamp. We welcome Puri P.S. Ramohan Rao, Puri N. Gopalaswamy, Dr. N.R. Dave, Puri K.N. Ramasamy and Puri T.V. Suryanarayanan to light the traditional lamp. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We now humbly request the Honorable Governor for tribute to the portrait of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. We also request all our dignitaries to pay the formal tribute. Let us come together to pay our respectful formal tribute to the Iron Man of India, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, whose steadfast vision and strength laid the foundation for the United Nations. As a mark of our great reverence and gratitude, we invite our dignitaries to offer formal tributes to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the architect of Bharat's unity and integrity. May these flowers of respect reflect our eternal admiration for the great leader who won the hearts of millions and shaped the destiny of independent Bharat. As he placed flowers before his portrait, we remember his courage, discipline and unwavering commitment that continue to inspire generations. Let us try to believe not this be a gesture of remembrance, but a pledge to uphold the unity, harmony and strength that Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel devoted his life to. Thank you, sir. Thank you all. Thank you. We now humbly request Dr. N.R. Dave, Chairman SVPM Trust Chennai, to deliver the welcome address.
Respected Governor of Tamil Nadu, Sri Raviji, former Governor of Tamil Nadu, Sri Ramohanji, our former election Chief Commissioner, our none other than Sri Gopalaswamy, Sri Ramaswamy, Sri Suryanarayan, and all other invitees, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to be the chairman of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel Memorial Trust on the occasion of 150th birthday celebration, especially here at Raj Bhavan, where the hall is Bharatiya Hall. What a good coincidence. And again, I am very proud to say that this trust, which was started in 1875, for this memorial trust, it is the Golden Jubilee, 50th year in Chennai. You will be very happy to know that this trust was by Sri K. Shah, then the Governor of Tamil Nadu, Sri V.R. Nedunchelian, Dr. Raja Sarmuthaiyan, Sri K. Kamaraj, Sri M. Bhaktavasalam, Sri R. Pattabhiraman, Sri S. Narayanaswamy, Sri Vaidya Subramanyam, Sri S. V. Goenka, Sri P. N. Dhawan, Sri P. K. Japi, Sri V. N. Radhakrishnan, and Sri Veeraraghavan and Satyanarayana and T. D. Sadasivam. So all these were founder trustees. They have done yeoman job, especially. I am very happy that the former Governor of Tamil Nadu, Sri Ram Mohan Ji, amidst us. In governorship, we had the pleasure of building the statue, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel statue. But for his help and guidance, I don't think we could have, our memorial trust could have built. And thank again to that then, the permission given by the then Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Srimati Jayalalitha ji. I am very happy that we are continuing this tradition of celebration every year on 31st October by conducting oratorical competitions on Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel's leadership, especially for the school and college students. And I am very happy that we have the staff members, the teachers and the students in large numbers here today to celebrate the anniversary of 150th anniversary. The object of the trust was to celebrate the birth centenary of the late Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel in a fitting manner, to publish the biography of Sardar Patel in Tamil and English and make it popular by getting it prescribed for high school students. The Institute also a chair in political science in the University of Madras, organized competitions on topics relating to Sardar Patel, his life, ideals, awards, and also award the prizes thereof. Subsequently, the trust was named as Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel Memorial Trust in the year 1998 and has been celebrating the birth anniversary every year in collaboration with Bharati Vidya Bhavan, Chennai Kendra. Thank you very much, Ramaswamy ji. The statue, which I mentioned earlier, was unveiled by His Excellency Sri Surjit Singh Ballanand and then the Governor of Tamil Nadu in the august presence of our Sri P.S. Ram Mohan Rao ji, former Governor of Tamil Nadu, and under the chairmanship of my very good friend Sugal Chand Jain, who was the major contributor for the construction of the statue. Today in the morning we had the pleasure of our respected Governor, Sri Ravi ji, he came and offered floral tributes to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel in the morning at 10 o'clock. And with that, the celebrations have started. And today we are going to distribute the prizes of the oratorical competitions conducted for school and college students, which has taken place in the month of October. And let me, at this instance, thank Surinarayanji, our secretary, who has been very active. He has meticulously conducted the competitions in various languages, English, Hindi, Gujarati, Telugu and Tamil. And the students have come here. Some of the students, the prize winners, will be speaking about the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, who are the winners of the competition. I am very happy to see the skit today. What a beautiful skit. I mean, the skit was prepared, and I congratulate those who have taken part in the script and those who have directed and given the music. He brought out all the qualities of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, especially, the Kheda Satyagraha in 1918, the non-cooperation movement in 1920, the Nagpur Satyagraha in 1923, the Bardoli Satyagraha in 1928, when the women of Bardoli gave the title of Sardar, the leader, the chief, to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. It was beautifully enacted here and shown to us, and how Sardar Patel integrated Hyderabad and Junagadh in our Indian Union. And lastly, Sardar Patel had laid the foundation of modern India by its administrative structure. He is fondly called as the patron saint of modern India. So these are all some of the achievements of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, for which we are ever indebted to him. Lastly, I would welcome all these chief guests, and especially I must thank our Honorable Governor, Raviji, who has been always with us. Even the other day when we came to extend the invitation for this function, he has given wonderful suggestions as to how we can carry on the legacy of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel forward and make the young generation realize about his ideals and leadership, which we are enjoying today as a republic country of India, and also for future our country should be united. Lastly, I will quote what Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel has said about the unity. The first requisite for building a strong free India is unity and peace. If there is no unity in the country, it is bound to go down. For unity, we must forget the differences of caste and creed and remember that we are all Indians and we are equal. There can be no distinction between man and man in a free country. All must have equal opportunities, equal rights, and equal responsibilities. This is difficult of achievement in practice, but we must continuously strive towards that end. Thank you very much, and once again our great pleasure in extending you all a very warm welcome.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. N.R. Double, Chairman, SCPM Trust Chennai, will now felicitate the Honorable Governor. Thank you, sir. We now request Thiru K. N. Ramasamy, Director, Bhavan Chennai Kendra, to felicitate Thiru P. H. Ramohan Rao, former Governor of Tamil Nadu. We request Thiru K. N. Ramasamy to felicitate Thiru N. Gopalaswamy, former Chief Election Commissioner. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Standing tall on the banks of River Narmada in Kevadia, Gujarat, the Statue of Unity is a grand tribute to the Iron Man of India, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Rising to a height of 182 meters, it is the tallest statue in the world, symbolizing strength, unity and national pride. It reminds us of Patelji's monumental role in uniting the nation and his lifelong dedication to Bharat's integrity. Let us now take a moment to witness his inspiring journey and the making of this monumental tribute through an audiovisual presentation, the Statue of Unity.
182 metres tall and decorated with 12,000 uniquely crafted bronze panels, India's 50-storey Statue of Unity is a triumph of aesthetics and engineering. And get this, it's made from melted down old farm equipment. How did they do it? Can it really withstand earthquakes? And how will its appearance change over the coming decades? Join us today as we look up and ask how the world's tallest statue was built. There are few more appropriate subjects for the world's tallest statue than Iron Man. No, not that Iron Man. Indian statesman and independence activist Vallabhbhai Patel is nicknamed the Iron Man of India for his incredible nation-building work, uniting all 562 independent princely states on the subcontinent after the British abruptly peaced out in the 1940s. The statue was commissioned to celebrate Patel's monumental achievement, and to underline the fact that to all Indians, farmers from all across the nation Patel helped create sent in their old unused scrap iron. Some 100 million farmers are said to have participated, yielding 129 tons of scrap iron, which today, melted down, forms the foundation of the statue. The statue itself stands at 182 metres tall, and that's no accident. 182 was chosen because that's the number of seats on the Gujarati legislature. It's constructed on a river island near where Patel grew up, facing the mighty Narmada Dam. That dam, like so much else in modern India, was also partly his idea. Celebrated Indian sculptor Ramji Sutar, distinguished winner of the Padma Bhushan Award for service to his country, was chosen to lead the design team. He'd already made a statue of Patel, the one currently residing at Ahmedabad International Airport. Sutar reportedly combed through thousands of photographs and consulted many historians in order to achieve the perfect likeness to his masterpiece. Then he made models, first 3 feet high, then 18 feet, then 30 feet. The finished clay model underwent meticulous 3D scanning, with the model used as a reference a Chinese casting company, Jiangxi Tongqing Metal Handicraft, where the bronze outer layer was manufactured. Funding for the project came from a variety of sources, mostly the Gujarat government, but also private donations and even a fun-run marathon. In total, it's estimated the cost amounted to almost $400 million US. New York firm Michael Graves Architecture and Design was hired to oversee the project, along with the Singapore-based Mine Group and Indian infrastructure giant Larsen & Toubro. Some 4,076 labourers worked alongside 250 engineers for 57 months on the project. Work began in earnest when Narendra Modi, then Premier of Gujarat, now Prime Minister, laid the foundation on the 31st of October 2013. What would have been Patel's 138th birthday? The hillock on which the statue stands was flattened, from 70 metres to just 55 metres, in order that the foundations could be laid. Of the many thorny engineering problems that had to be overcome, the most striking related to the statue's so-called slenderness ratio. What that basically means is that tall structures should ideally be more slender at the top than at the bottom. Seems obvious, right? Ranvi Sutar's sculpture of Vallabhai Patel, however, is clearly narrower at the base. Moreover, the statue's thrusting progressive stance meant those dainty sandaled feet are some 6.5 meters apart. Engineers decided the best way to solve this problem was to create two separate concrete cores. The same kind of core you'll have seen 100 times on skyscraper construction sites. Between them, these cores incorporate around 210,000 cubic meters of cement and concrete, 6,500 tons of structural steel, and 18,500 tons of reinforced steel. Working in Gujarat's hot climate created challenges for the concrete pool team, who needed to use an assortment of chiller systems to keep the all-important coarse aggregate element of the concrete cool enough to set evenly. Light shafts are concealed within each core, for ferrying tourists up to the observation gallery, where up to 200 delighted sightseers can gaze out over the Narmada Dam and hundreds of acres of manicured ground through strategically concealed rifts in Patel's goatee. Further up the course are twin 250-ton tuned mass dampers. Why? The area is occasionally prone to earthquakes. Thanks to those dampers, the structure can withstand quakes of up to 6.5 on the Richter scale to a depth of 10 kilometers and a radius of 12 kilometers away. Cantilevered out from those mighty concrete cores is a steel space frame designed on CAD software. Onto this frame, the bronze-clad panels transported by sea from China were bolted on. If you're thinking the panels don't entirely seem to line up, that's actually deliberate. Why? The panels are designed to overlap slightly so they can move about in high winds, up to 180 kilometers an hour, and prevent the transmission of stress throughout the structure. The skin alone, by the way, weighs over 2,000 tons, and each panel is unique, requiring a clever tagging and numbering system to avoid confusion and delay on site. The building phase took 33 months, by which point the statue was visible from 7 kilometers away. It wasn't just the statue that was built, by the way. The Mammoth project, which is 200 kilometers away from the nearest major city in a densely forested rural area, necessitated the building of a 4-lane approach road, a food court, and a 52-room 3-star hotel. There's also a museum featuring 2,000 photographs and 40,000 documents within 11 days of the unveiling. On what would have been Patel's 143rd birthday, some 128,000 tourists had visited the site.
Sardar Vallabhai Patel taught us that unity is not just the strength of a nation, but the soul of its people. We welcome the next generation who has to carry his vision to build bridges, not boundaries, to unite hearts, not just land. True patriotism today lies in standing together beyond differences, just as the Iron Man of India did for our freedom. So, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome Ms. S. Deepika from Sri Shankara Senior Secondary School, Araya, to deliver her speech in English.
A very good evening to everyone present here. I am Deepika Suresh of class 11 from Sri Shankara Senior Secondary School. Today I am honored to speak about one of India's greatest leaders, Sardar Vallabhai Patel. Known as the Iron Man of India, Patel's life and work played a key role in shaping the India that we live in today. Sardar Patel was born in 1875 in a small village in Gujarat. He was a bright student and became a successful lawyer. But his love for the country was stronger than his desire for personal success. So when India was fighting for freedom against the British rule, he decided to join the movement. One of his earliest major contributions was leading the Kheda Satyagraha in 1918. At that time, the farmers in Kheda, Gujarat, refused to pay taxes due to famine and plague. Patel's leadership throughout the was steady, strategic, and compassionate. He stood firmly with the farmers, showing that true power lies in unity and peaceful protest. He worked closely with Mahatma Gandhi and became one of the strongest leaders of the Indian National Congress. He once said, "Manpower without unity is not a strength. Unless it is harmonized and united properly, then it becomes a spiritual power." This quote shows one of his most important ideologies, that when people come together as one, we can become something great. His role in the Badali Satyagraha in 1928 earned him the title Sardar, meaning leader or chief. The campaign, Patel led the peasants of Badali in a successful non-payment of taxes protest against the unjust British policies. This victory was not just a turning point for the movement itself, but also for Patel's reputation as a fearless leader who could rally people to stand up for their own rights. One of the biggest challenges that Patel faced was after India gained independence in 1947. At that time, India was divided into more than 500 princely states, and each state had its own ruler or king. And many did not want to join the new country of India. This could have broken India into many parts and made it weak. But Sardar Patel took on the huge responsibility of uniting our country. With great patience and firmness, Patel convinced almost all of these rulers to join India and become a part of one nation. Being the president of the Indian National Congress and the first deputy prime minister and home minister of independent India, Patel was a major pillar of our nation and did everything in his ability to make India a fully functioning independent country. To do so, he helped set up the Indian Administrative Service (IAS) and the Indian Police Service (IPS). These services continue to keep India's government and law enforcement running smoothly. This was a major contribution by him because it gave India a strong system to govern itself after independence. His success in uniting India was much more than just politics. He knew that India could not survive or grow if it remained shattered. He believed in building a strong foundation for the future generations. And today, we can see his work in a strong and united India that we proudly call home. But Sardar Patel was more than just a leader who brought India together. He was a man of great values, honesty, courage, responsibility. He believed that leaders should work hard and put the country above everything else. To say it in his own words, take up one idea. Make that one idea your life. Think of it, dream of it, live on that idea. By remembering Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel today, we remember a man who was not afraid to take tough decisions, who valued honesty and integrity, and the one who put his nation above all else. His life teaches us that leadership is not just about power, it's about responsibility, the strength to do the right thing at the right time, and the relentless pursuit of justice. And with that, I would like to conclude my speech. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. சர்தார் வல்லபாய் பட்டேல் பற்றிய தனது எண்ணங்களை பகிர்ந்து கொள்ள நாம் இன்றைய தலைமுறையின் பிரதிநிதியாக ஒரு இளம் பேச்சாளர் நம்மிடையே உள்ளார். அவரை மனமார்ந்த கைத்தட்டலுடன் மேடைக்கு வரவேற்போம். செல்வி சுபாஷியா விஜய் அவர்களை நாம் வரவேற்கின்றோம்.
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். என் பெயர் சுவரிஷா. நான் அடையார் ஸ்ரீசங்கரா மேல்நிலை பள்ளியில் 11ஆம் வகுப்பில் படிக்கிறேன். நர்மதை ஆற்றின் கரையோரம் 597 அடி உயரத்தில் அமைந்துள்ளது இந்தியாவின் மாபெரும் மனிதனின் சிலை. துண்டு பட்டு கிடந்த ராஜ்யங்களை ஒன்றிணைத்தவர், இந்தியாவை ஒரே குடையின் கீழ் கொண்டு வந்தவர். விலை மதிப்பற்ற செல்வம் அறிவு, பலமான ஆயுதம் பொறுமை, மிகச் சிறந்த பாதுகாப்பு உண்மை, அற்புதமான மருந்து சிரிப்பு என்ற பொன் மொழிக்கு உதாரணமாய் திகழ்ந்தவர். ஒரே இந்தியா ஒரே தேசம் என்ற கொள்கையை கொண்டவர். யார் இவர்? அவர்தான் நம் நாட்டின் நிருப மனிதர் சர்தார் வல்லபாய் பட்டேல். தன்னலமற்ற தொண்டு, கடமை உணர்வு, செயலில் துணிவு போன்ற நற்பண்புகளின் உறைவிடமாய் திகழ்ந்தவர் சர்தார் வல்லபாய் பட்டேல். பெருமிதம், பர்தோலி சத்தியாகிரகம் இந்திய போருக்கு அடிப்படை. அந்த வரிகொடா இயக்கத்தை முன்னின்று நடத்தியவர் சர்தார் வல்லபாய் பட்டேல். காந்தியடிகள் பட்டேலை சர்தார் படைத்தலைவர் என்று பாராட்டினர். விடுதலை போராட்டங்களில் ஈடுபட்டதால் பல முறை சிறை சென்று துன்பம் அனுபவித்தார். சிப்பாயை கண்டு அஞ்சுவார், ஊர் சேவகன் வருதல் கண்டு மனம் பதைப்பார். துப்பாக்கி கொண்டொருவன் வெகு தூரத்தில் வருதல் கண்டு வீட்டில் ஒளிவர். இங்கனம் கோழைகளாய் மோனைகளாய் வாழ்ந்த இந்திய மக்களை அந்நிய வல்லாட்சி எதிர்த்து நிற்கும் வீரர்களாய் மாற்றினார் சர்தார் வல்லபாய் பட்டேல். வெள்ளையர் இந்தியாவை விட்டு வெளியேறிய போது இந்தியாவில் சிறிதும் பெரிதுமான 565 சமஸ்தானங்கள் இருந்தன. சமஸ்தான மன்னர்களை இந்தியாவுடன் இணையுமாறு பொறுமையாக வேண்டுகோள் விடுத்தார். சமஸ்தான மன்னர்களும் தங்களது சமஸ்தானங்களை ஒன்றின் பின் ஒன்றாக இந்தியாவுடன் இணைத்தனர். கத்தியின்றி ரத்தமின்றி வரலாற்றிலேயே முதல் முறையாக இந்தியா ஒரே குடையின் கீழ் வந்தது. இந்திய சமஸ்தானங்களை இந்திய அரசுடன் இணைத்து ஒரே ஆட்சியின் கீழ் கொண்டு வந்த சர்தாரின் சாதனை ஜெர்மனியின் பிஸ்மார்க் சாதனையை விட மேலானது என்று லண்டன் டைம்ஸ் இதழ் புகழாரம் சூட்டியது. சர்தாரின் சாதனை கீழத்தில் ஒளிரும் மாணிக்கங்கள் சில கூறவா தோழர்களே? நாட்டின் நிர்வாகம் திறமையான நேர்மையான அதிகாரிகளால் மட்டுமே வழிநடத்தப்படும் என்ற ஒழுங்கை நிலைநாட்டினார். இன்று நாம் பெருமைப்படும் சிவில் சர்வீசஸ், அதாவது IAS மற்றும் IPS ஆகியவற்றை உருவாக்கி நிர்வாகத்துக்கு எலும்பு கூடு போல வலிமை கொடுத்தவர் சர்தார் வல்லபாய் பட்டேல். அடடா, என்ன ஒரு தொலைநோக்கு பார்வை நம் சர்தாருக்கு! மண் வாசத்தில் பிறந்த மகத்துவம். இந்தியாவின் உண்மையான வலிமை அதன் கிராமங்களில் தான் உள்ளது என்ற சர்தாரின் எண்ணம் இன்றும் ரூரல் டெவலப்மெண்ட் கொள்கைகளுக்கு அடிப்படையாக அமைந்துள்ளது. அயர்ன் மேன், இரும்பு மனிதர் என்று அழைக்கப்படுகிறார். ஆனால் உண்மையில் இவர் அயர்ன் வில், இரும்பு மனநிலை கொண்டவர். சிரமங்கள் எவ்வளவு வந்தாலும் விலகி போகாமல் நிறைவேற்றுவதே இவரது தனித்துவம். பதவிக்கான பேராசை, பணத்திற்கான பேராசை, குடும்பத்திற்கான பேராசை. ஆனால் அரசியல் என்பது சேவை, சத்தியம், தன்னலமின்மை என்ற உண்மையை உலகிற்கே காட்டியவர் சர்தார் வல்லபாய் பட்டேல். இன்று அரசியல்வாதிகள் சர்தாரிடமிருந்து துணிவு, தன்மை, தன்னலமின்மை போன்ற பாடங்களை பின்பற்றினால் இந்தியா உலகிற்கே முன்னோடியாக திகழும். இறுதியாக ஒரு கேள்வி: அரசியல்வாதிகளே, அரசியல் அதிகாரம் வேண்டுமா அல்லது அரசியல் ஒரு சேவை என்று சர்தாரின் கனவு வேண்டுமா? அரசியல் என்பது ஆசையின் மேடை அல்ல, அது சர்தாரின் பாதையை பின்பற்றும் சேவையின் மேடை. மறைவு வானளவு உயர்ந்த ஆலமரமும் ஒரு நாள் வீழ்ந்து விட வேண்டும் என்பது காலத்தின் நியதி. இடைவிடாத பணிகளால் சர்தாரின் உடல்நலம் குன்றியது. அயராத உழைப்பும் இந்தியாவை இணைக்க மேற்கொண்ட இடைவிடாத முயற்சியும் கௌரவிக்கப்பட வேண்டும் அல்லவா? இரும்பு மனிதர் என்பதால் இந்தியாவின் அனைத்து பகுதிகளிலிருந்து இரும்பு பெறப்பட்டு இரும்பு உபகரணங்களை திரட்டி இதோ 182 மீட்டர் உயரம் உள்ள உலகின் மிகச் சிறந்த சிலையாகவும் ஒற்றுமையின் சிலையாகவும் சர்தாரின் நினைவாக அமைக்கப்பட்டுள்ளது. சர்தார் இன்றும் நம் நெஞ்சங்களில் வாழ்கிறார். இந்திய மனங்களில் என்றென்றும் வாழ்வார். ஆங்கிலத்தில் ஒரு சொற்றொடர் உண்டு, RIP, ரெஸ்ட் இன் பீஸ், அமைதியாக உறங்குங்கள் என்பது அதன் பொருள். சர்தாரிடம் ஒரு வேண்டுகோள்: ஐயா, நீங்கள் உறங்கியது போதும், இந்த கலியுகத்திற்கு RIP, ரிட்டர்ன் இஸ் பாசிபிள் ஐயா என்ற வேண்டுகோள் விடுத்து உங்கள் சேவை இப்பொழுதும் எப்பொழுதும் தேவை என்று கூறி நாட்டுக்காக தொண்டு செய்தவர்கள் சாவதில்லை. வாழ்க தமிழ், வளர்க தமிழ், ஜெயஹிந்த்.
Ladies and gentlemen, now let's move on to the next inspiring part of our program. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, known as the Iron Man of India, was not only a freedom fighter but also a great lawyer who used his wisdom and courage to unite our nation. It is truly fitting that today a budding law student will share her thoughts on this great leader who himself was a man of law and justice. Let's put our hands together and welcome Mrs. Suyasha Abhirami, a student of Tamil Nadu Law University, to deliver her speech on Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the architect of United Bharat.
Good evening to everyone present here. My humble pranam to the Governor, Honorable Governor, and other dignitaries on the dais. I feel privileged to be part of this occasion and to be speaking about the Iron Man of India. If someone were to walk up to me today and ask me to speak about the Iron Man, much like others, my mind would directly travel to Marvel, Robert Downey Jr., gleaming through the screen and cinematic heroism. But the Iron Man I am going to talk about today wore no such armor. He did not fight villains on screen. He faced fear, division and doubt, the strongest villains that exist. That man was none other than Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the real Iron Man of India. And unlike fiction's Iron Man, his legacy did not end with applause. it began with the nation. Because the truth is, if there was a man ever truly marvelous, it was him. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was born to a son of a farmer from Nadia, a small town in Gujarat, a boy who grew up amidst the rhythm of simplicity in rural life and the quiet dignities of hard work. He was, in every way, an ordinary boy with an extraordinary focus. That is what truly set him apart. He was not a child prodigy, not a man who achieved everything at a young age. In fact, he completed his matriculation at the age of 22. But if there is one truth that Patel's life continues to remind us is that beginnings do not define outcomes, determination does. At 22, when most people were planning their future, Patel was fighting simply to stay alive. Gujarat was struck by the bubonic plague, one of the deadliest pandemics in human history. He contracted the disease and chose to isolate himself in a temple. He endured the fever and pain alone, with no medicine, no doctors, and no certainty of survival. And yet, he recovered not by chance, but by sheer willpower. That moment, though it seemed ordinary in the flow of his life, became the first true test of the iron within him. Long before the world called him the Iron Man of India, Patel had already proven it to himself. A century later, our generation faced a crisis of its own, COVID-19. Life slowed, routines were disrupted, plans were paused, expectations shifted, and the rhythm of life, the simple certainty of knowing what comes next, was suspended. And yet, in that pause, I could not help but see Patel's reflection. Just as he had endured the plague in isolation, similarly, we were asked to endure stillness with courage. It is not at the ease of the moment, but the way we meet it that defines us. When the plague had ended, Patel returned with purpose. He rebuilt himself piece by piece, becoming a lawyer in Ahmedabad, known for a sharp intellect, disciplined mind, and unwavering integrity. People came to him not for his charisma, but for clarity. He had no interest in politics at this stage. His world was the courtroom, his challenge, the law. But 1917 brought a meeting that changed the trajectory of his life. Gandhi arrived in Ahmedabad, speaking of self-reliance, truth, and freedom. For Patel, a man who once measured success in legal victories, this was a different kind of calling. He was someone asking not for arguments in court, but for action in the world, and Patel was listening. He did not leap into politics with enthusiasm or fanfare. Instead, he observed, learned, and considered how best he could serve. It was a measured transition from a lawyer to a leader, shaped not by impulse, but by principle. As we already know, and we just witnessed in the play, Patel established himself as a leader in Kheda, which was reaffirmed in Nagpur and brought him the title Sardar in Bardoli. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel's profession and passion is being a lawyer and a leader. But he did not stop there. He became an architect, the architect of a nation. Patel worked closely with V.P. Menon to draft the instrument of accession, unifying the princely states in the Indian Union. With the princely states unified, Patel turned his attention to institution building. A nation is only as strong as its institution, and Patel envisioned a civil service that would ensure effective governance, integrity, and stability. He played a central role in creating Indian civil services, which would become the backbone of India's governance. He called it the sea frame of India, believing that no democracy could survive without integrity in governance. Today, every single civil servant carries that invisible signature of Patel, reminded that the service to people is the truest form of patriotism. 70 years have passed since the echo of Patel's footsteps faded from the corridor of power, yet his presence endures not as a memory, but as a mirror. A mirror that asks of every generation, what does unity mean to you? For Patel, unity was never a mere symbolism, it was structure. He saw India not as a collection of territories, but as a shared trust, a promise to be protected, not possessed. He understood that unity does not mean uniformity, it means finding strength in diversity. And that question of how to hold together differences without losing direction remains ours to answer. Today, when divisions of opinion, language, or identity is louder than the values that bind us, it is worth remembering that this nation was once stitched together not by armies but by conviction. Patel taught us that the true test of freedom is not in breaking chains, but in staying bound by purpose after they are gone. The statue of unity is not only the tallest statue in the world, it is a metaphor cast in bronze. It reminds us that strength is not about dominance, but about coherence, not about silencing differences, but about harmonizing them. And in that, his legacy feels startlingly contemporary, because unity today is no longer about integrating kingdoms, it's about integrating consciences. It's about ensuring that empathy travels faster than outrage, and that the idea of we does not get lost in the noise of me. For every young Indian still finding a place in college, a career, or a country that moves faster than thought, Patel's life offers a rare reassurance. Beginnings do not define outcomes. It is persistence, not privilege, that writes destiny. If a boy who passed his matriculation at the age of 22 could go on to become the architect of a nation, perhaps each of us too can rebuild something larger than ourselves. In remembering Patel, we are not merely recalling the statesman or the past, we are reaffirming the blueprint of our future. Discipline with compassion, strength with humility, and progress with unity. And now, as we stand here on the 31st of October, commemorating the Rashtriya Ekta Divas, the National Day of Unity, it feels almost poetic that the day itself was once a choice, not a coincidence. Few people know this, but the date we celebrate as Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel's birthday was in fact chosen by him. He wasn't born on this day by fate. He selected it deliberately when official records were being formalized. It was as if even time had to align with him for his will, as though destiny waited for him to decide when it would begin. Perhaps in that quiet choice lies the essence of who he truly was. A man who never waited for the moment, he made it. A man who did not merely live through history, he shaped it. So, as we remember him today, let us not only look back at the map he drew, but look within at the courage it calls for. Because Patel's India was never meant to be an inheritance to guard, but a possibility to renew again and again in every generation that dares to stay united despite its differences. He taught us that iron by itself is only a metal. It becomes a monument only when it stands for something enduring. And so on this day, when the nation celebrates the man of iron, perhaps the greatest tribute we can offer is not in our applause, but in our actions to remain unbent in principle, unbroken in purpose, and unwavering in unity. For the Iron Man of India did not just build a nation, he built a reminder that the strength of a country does not lie in its walls, but in its will. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we now welcome Shri M.R. Venkatesh, advocate, author and progressive thinker, to deliver his commemoration speech on Shri Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel.
His Excellency, the Governor of Tamil Nadu, dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, after some eloquent speeches by young ladies, I don't wish to take more time than what I take to get an admission in the Supreme Court of an SLP, which is usually between 40 seconds and 90 seconds. Whenever we talk about Sardar Patel, we talk about the fact that he united several provinces, 565 to be precise. But my take is that he also did something extraordinary, that he stitched the timeless Bharata with the contemporary India. And I hail from a village called Mandakulatur, which is representative of these two things. It gave the first Chief Justice of Independent Republic of India. And it has a temple which was consecrated in our beliefs by Yudhishthira, and the Shivaling is called Dharmanadeshwar. It is both timeless and contemporary. A small village, I'm sure all of you would have that type of resonance with your village, with your birthplaces, where it is both contemporary and timeless. Sardar Patel to me represents both. There was a reference to Bismarck by one of the young ladies who spoke. He stitched in the German nation by bringing in around 30, 32 or 34 provinces or states which are basically Catholic and Protestant countries. And Sardar did something around 20 times bigger in a country which was exceptionally diverse. And to bring in at a time when there was a civil war going on, and there was a transition of power from an European to an Indian, something that is mind-boggling. It numbs our mind to even believe that he did it. The British India, if I can conjure an image of British India, there was several samasthanas, 500 odd samasthanas or kingdoms. And if ladies can probably pardon me for saying this, that it looked like rava dosa with perforation in between. And he completed rava dosa into a masala dosa. Completely plain and in one smooth stroke. And why is this so challenging is that the British, when they were here for almost 90 years of their rule, and even before that, they never believed that India was one nation, one country. In 1888, for instance, a stone statue says that, quote, "This is the first and the most essential thing to learn about India, that there is not and never was in India, or even any country of India possessing, according to European ideas, any sort of unity, physical, political, social or religious. No Indian nation, no people of India of which we heard so much." This was in 1888 when the British East India Company was formed in 1600, the Dutch East India Company was formed in 1602, the Portuguese East India Company was formed in 1628, the Danish East India Company was formed in 1616, French East India Company was formed in 1664, Swedish East India Company was formed in 1731, Austrian East India Company was formed in 1776. At least 7 companies I could trace, of course with the help of Google, I must confess, that they were East India companies of various hues, but yet they said there was no India. The Simon Commission, which came to India in 1928, also says that India was a conglomeration of religion and races. Our own intellectuals fell for it, and for instance, Surendranath Banerjee, an eminent leader of the Indian National Congress, says it is India is a nation in the making. It was all in the end of 19th century. And in 1940s, there was an Adhikari thesis, Gangadhar Adhikari thesis, which says that India was not a nation. Gangadhar Adhikari says, and he was one of the prominent members of the Communist Party, the thesis proffered by him in 1942, which said India is not a nationality but collection of 18 distinct nationalities. He opined that the rational kernel in the Pakistani demand is that whenever people of Muslim faith living together in a territorial unit form a nationality, they certainly have the right to autonomous state existence, just like other nationalities in India, such as Andhras, Karnatakis, Marathis and Bengalis. Look at the challenge. Look at the intellectual rigor that was prevailing in those challenging times. That it was not easy as we think that what Sardar Patel did. Of course, out of 565, to be very fair, probably barring 2 or 3, all the provinces agreed about Bharata. Most of this states, princely states, agreed with Patel, and the merger was not any painful. It was almost that everybody agreed. Understand one thing, that whenever for time immemorial we went to the temples, when we took our sankalpa, it was Bharata Varsha Bharatachandi. It was never, when we took a Sankalpa, it was Chola Rajya, it was Kanishka Rajya. It was never with regard to the state. It was always Bharata Varshe for time immemorial. So to that extent, the timelessness of Bharata was easily available, but it was to be concretized, it was to be formalized. And for the first time, we had a formal state in several years, several centuries. In our immediate history, contemporary history, we had for the first time a state. And understand that this state had a soul. That is why Nehru on 15th August says a moment comes which comes but rarely in history when we step out from the old to the new, when the age ends and the soul of a nation long suppressed finds its utterance. What is the soul that we talk about? The soul is one of Bharata. The soul is timeless. And that is where Sardar Patel comes in. And he brings in that soul to life. Nehru did this great speech on 15th of August, no doubt. Of course, in Discovery of India, he says, I don't believe in the soul. But on 15th of August, he says, India had a soul. So 15th August comes later than Discovery of India. So we take the later statement as more genuine. And we say that, yes, India had a soul. But to ensure the soul was awakened, it was left to Patel. And this was something amazing that it happened. Let us not forget that whenever the British, even before they came, they were very suspicious about India becoming a superpower. They were suspicious about how India will translate itself at some point in time in future. And that is why I went to one document, very interesting. And anybody who had gone to Bombay would know there is a station next to Churchgate. It is called Elphinstone. That Elphinstone is a very highly regarded bureaucrat who was in India between 1795 and 1830s. 30 years he was there and he did a great job. But he was there even before the formal British Raj was actually established. And in 1850s, he writes his autobiography and he says, the moral is that we must not dream of perpetual possession, that is of India, but must apply ourselves to bring the natives into a state that will admit of their governing themselves in a manner that may be beneficial to our interests. Even before your entry, you are having an exit strategy. And that is the level to which Sardar Patel had to fight it out. These are all things which are not chronicled in history. That what we just believe that he went with the document of accession and every Maharaja signed on it so easily. It was not so easy as it looks. And that he had to surmount a huge challenge that at every twist and turn, that India was never to be seen as one single political entity, as one single geographical political entity that will challenge the rest of the world. And that is why our enemies even today realize this, that whenever they talk, they say Bharat tere tukde tukde. They never say India tere tukde tukde. The Bharat is the spirit that brings India together. Bharat is the one that makes India together. And Bharat is the one that runs India. And for instance, I will give you and I will finish with the last quote of one professor, Zhang Jiodong, who is a great Chinese scholar who studies great amount of India. And he is the director of the Center for South Asian Studies. And he writes somewhere last year, or perhaps in 23, he says, India's domestic and foreign situation have changed tremendously compared to 4 years ago. And he says, what I feel about the Bharat narrative in India is that India always considered herself to be a world power. It has only been less than 10 years since India shifted from multi-balancing to multi-alignment. Now it's rapidly transforming towards a strategy of becoming a pole in the multipolar world. And the operating phrase of Zhang is that the Bharat narrative is now well and truly hitting. And that is because we had Sardar Patel, who welded this nation into a proper political entity. And I was looking at some of the statistics that we have achieved in the last 75 years, and one will stun everybody. We are the only country, probably we have grown at 6% for the last 75 years with the democracy. The Chinese have grown probably at a much faster rate, and they have done the easiest part. They have done roads, they have built airports, they have done all those things. But the toughest part is yet to come. They have yet to migrate into democracy. But Sardar gave us democracy. Sardar gave us a rule of law, a constitution, welded it into a nation, and ensured that we are growing at 6% growth. Imagine that if this nation were broken into 500 odd pieces as it was prior to independence, we would be at a state today much lower than sub-Saharan Africa. And that is possible. It is the consequence of this integration is never talked about. The consequence of this integration, the consequence of welding this into a nation, consequence of putting it together is why Professor Zhang Jiodong says India is emerging as a pole in a multipolar world. It is no ordinary thing for the Chinese to say this. Chinese are recognizing the rise of India. The Chinese are recognizing that India is a pole to deal with in the next few years, few decades to come. And when we look back at our history, we have to look back at only one person. And we need to feel proud, we need to feel indebted to him, that he gave us to the future generations. And the young lady who spoke in Tamil said, return is possible. I think I fully endorse her sentiment. I think that's the most wonderful thing. Because the type of Luciferious tendencies that we are trying to have, and the foreign powers are trying to put it in. We are the only country who has enemies within and without. The enemies are always here to break this country, and I can understand if the enemies are outside the country. But we are the only country probably in the world where have enemies in this country to break it from within. And I would think about this man every time. Whenever I went and I go to the court, I always remember my father or grandfather gave me a book long time ago. I have lost that book. But I remember that Sardar Patel was arguing on a trial, cross-examining somebody, when a telegram was given to him and he slipped it into his pocket and continued his argument. And after he finished his arguments, he broke down because a telegram contained a very, very sad news that his wife passed away. He won the case also, yeah, obviously. As professionals, every time we enter the court, I always remember that particular story because that is the level of professionalism he has demonstrated. And for somebody to demolish his own practice, as we saw in the skit, to demolish his own lucrative practice for the sake of this nation and make this into what it is today, I think no amount of thanks, no amount of remembrance is sufficient. And I thank Your Excellency for giving me this opportunity. At least I will sleep peacefully tonight because at least I will feel unburdened because it's been a long earning within me, a burning desire that somewhere we must thank on a public platform a great soul like Sardar Patel. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. We now humbly request Thiruven Gopalaswamy, former Chief Election Commissioner, to address the gathering.
His Excellency, the Governor of Tamil Nadu, Sri R. Ravi, former Governor of Tamil Nadu, Ram Mohan Rao, dignitaries on the dais, and invitees, friends. The difficulty in speaking somewhere towards the end, much of what you thought you can say has already been said by other people. So now I have to find out something which has not been said. I still found something, so please allow me to share that with you. Sardar Patel's life, if you go through, there are few words to describe. One, tremendous courage, equally tremendous sacrifice. When he, and then an ability to bring people together, which of course is demonstrated in many ways. But look at the three instances of the Kheda Satyagraha, the Borsar Satyagraha and the Bardoli Satyagraha. He could win the hearts of people, their respect and their certainty that what he suggests to them is for the good of the country as a whole, for them as a whole, and country as a whole. From there, take off to the one instance where he was instrumental in creating an educational institution for the rural people. This was, today it's called the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel University in Anand in Gujarat. But it started as the Charotar Vidya Mandal. The idea behind being to educate, bring better education to the rural masses. And that was started somewhere around 1945, that was his idea. And he found two really good disciples, I can say, to make his dream come true. But there is a very interesting aspect to that which I want to mention. When they decided to have near Anand, the university, you need the land. And much of that area produces a lot of cash crops like, tobacco and a few other cash crops. And of course, also after good irrigation facilities, now it's also a rice bowl. To make the farmers agree to give their land, it is because Sardar Patel's word was there that they gave. But very typical the way it was done. All of them are told saying that when you give your land for the university, it will be a clean place, nothing excepting education institutions will be there. One. Second, and equally important, for every person who gives a piece of land, we will give a developed piece of living area 1/10 in size. So it was not, we take away all your land and you become, pauper overnight. So you give your land, 1/10 of that land area will be returned to you by way of a developed plot. That's how the Charotar Vidya Mandal entered, got the land, built the Vallabh University area. No industries were permitted, and that entire piece of land was used only for education. And this is the genius of giving back to them. Today, when all our land acquisition deals, a lot of protests because you have 10 acres of land, tomorrow you become a pauper. No, you get something in back. Typical Gujarati genius behind that work. This is one. Second, he found that the farmers in that area were being exploited by the milk producing farmers are exploited. So he had an idea. He started an agitation for better prices. Polson Dairy was the one which was in Anand, and he got all the farmers together, agitated. But at the end of it, he told them, saying that getting a better price is not my way of thinking. Organize yourself so that you decide the price yourself. That is how in Samraka village, very close to Anand, now it is called Amul is stationed or headquartered in Anand, but it started as a small cooperative milk producing society in a village which is just about 5 kilometers away from Anand. All this I know because I was collector in that particular district. I had the good fortune of paying my obeisance both at Nadiyad, where his birthplace is there, and Karamsad, which is his parental village. These two incidents, that one decision of bringing together the farmers to be their own masters, that fantastic stroke resulted in Amul, and today you would have seen in the newspapers an advertisement from Amul. 36 lakh women are members of Amul Cooperative Society. These two, of course, coming to sacrifice, he sacrificed thrice the presidency of the Congress, 3 times. The last time was 1947, when he would have known that anybody who became president in 1947 would become the prime minister. So what he sacrificed is not merely the presidency of the Congress party in 1947, he also sacrificed on the advice, on the suggestion, on the word of Gandhiji that he will step down, he will not take the position as the Congress president in 1947, but give it to Jawaharlal Nehru. Incidentally, all the 3 times it was Jawaharlal Nehru who benefited. All the 3 times when Sardar Patel withdrew. And finally, one point which is never mentioned anywhere, and I thought I must mention. The Somnath temple was rebuilt because of the initiative taken by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. And Gandhiji made one condition, that no government money will be used. Sardar abided by it. It was purely a contribution from all the public that Somnath temple was rebuilt. And it was mentioned here about the creation of the IAS, IPS, etc. But one step earlier, he realized that while everybody opposed that idea of keeping the ICS, continued ICS and IP, the precursors to IAS and IPS, Sardar Patel, with his vision, saw one thing, that if you remove all these people all at once, the administration will collapse. So he took the risk, but he also told them, saying that I have seen them perform, and I assure you that they will be loyal to this country. And he proved, his words proved prophetic. I'll end by just one. So when you mention about Sardar Patel, there is a Sanskrit saying which says, Vajradapi Kataurani Murduni Kusumadapi. He had a heart of steel. He is called a man of steel. But he was also soft as a petal. So when his brother wanted to go abroad before him for the barrister's examination, he willingly gave it to him. All his correction, all his dream, he was willing to sacrifice for the sake of it. The same way, 3 times he sacrificed the position of the Congress president, thanks to, that is the kind of, which is unimaginable. So a selfless person who stood for this nation, who brought this nation together, as M.R. Venkatesh correctly mentioned, There was one quote by one of the students, speakers. It said, somewhere he mentioned saying that we are all Indians. In the days of the special intensive revision, we need to remember that we are all Indians. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We now request Thiru P.S. Ram Mohan Rao, former Governor of Tamil Nadu, to address the gathering.
Honorable Governor of Tamil Nadu, the other distinguished persons on the dais, ladies and gentlemen, and the young students who are assembled here, and members of the media. You must all be wondering why an old fogey like me has been pulled out of the woodworks and brought here to be in front of you to say a few words. A little bit about it has already been said. I think it was, it was 2003, I think. I was occupying the Raj Bhavan here at that time. And Sri Sugal Chand Jain, who for unavoidable reasons is not amidst us this evening, and a few others, I think I remember it, Veer Raghavan and others, came to me and said, rather requested, that I should help them in putting up a statue of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel in Chennai. Then and now, I have been an unabashed admirer of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. For their suggestion struck a very sympathetic chord in me. So I asked Sri Jain, all right, let us put up a statue, but where do you want it? Where do you want it to be put up? He said, sir, it will be very nice if we put up this statue in the marina. So his idea was that we should install this statue on the Marina beach. Then I told him that, look, Marina beach is occupied by all the Tamil savants, and Sardar Patel has really no place there among the Tamil savants. Then suddenly a thought occurred to me. I said the road in front of the Raj Bhavan is named as Sardar Patel Road. So why don't we install the statue somewhere on the Sardar Patel Road? Then he said it's a wonderful idea. Then a further thought occurred to me. I said, why not put it up in front of the Raj Bhavan? Because there is a 3-road junction in front of the Raj Bhavan. So why don't we put up in front of the Raj Bhavan? And they had all agreed. And then I had taken up with the then Chief Minister, Selvi Jayalalitha, who took no time in agreeing to our request. And that is how Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel's statue in front of the Raj Bhavan on Sardar Patel Road has come up. And that is also the reason why I am here this evening. It's perhaps an act of remembrance that Sugal Chand Jain and Mr. Suryanarayanan telephoned to me in Hyderabad and requested me that I should be present on this very rare occasion of the 150th anniversary of Sardar Patel. Now a lot has been said about Sardar Patel by the young students and by the speakers before me. In fact, I had written a requirement for Sardar Patel and requested Mr. Suryanarayan to circulate it among the audience. I don't know whether it has been done or not. whether the requiem has been circulated. It's an article on Sardar Patel, an act of obeisance, act of remembrance on this 150th anniversary of Sardar Patel. I hope it will be circulated in course of time. Now, much has been said about him, about his qualities of head and heart, about his signal contributions to the unity of India, and last of them, the creation of the All India Services. Now, I can only add to that because much has already been said. The first thing that I would like to mention is, Gopal Swami mentioned about how Amul was born in Gujarat, thanks to the initiative of Sardar Patel. Now, what I am about to tell you is a story I have heard from the mouth of Kurian, who was the architect of Amul. Kurian, I think, returned from abroad with an engineering degree and found a job in Anand. Was it Anand? I think it is Anand. Where there used to be a British company called Polson Dairy. Now, Polson Dairy, he was the general manager of Polson Dairy. And one day, the employees went on strike. And Polson Dairy had to be closed. Then he went to Sardar Patel, seeking his assistance for the reopening of Polson Dairy. And it was then Sardar Patel suggested to him, why do we want these British fellows to run the Polson Dairy? Let us start a cooperative movement and take over this dairy. And that is how the dairy was taken over, and the Polson Dairy has now today become Amul, which is incidentally the only international brand from India, locally made brand. One thing has to be said, apart from other things, Sardar Patel was the only Indian leader who had organized as many as 6 mass campaigns, other than the non-cooperation movement, the civil disobedience movement, and the Quit India movement, which were, of course, national movements led by Gandhi. And I would like to share with you some very interesting vignettes from these movements. The first movement that he organized in Gujarat independently was a campaign against what is called VET, V-E-T-H. In Telugu it's called Vetti. I don't know what it is called in Tamil. Vetti meant that whenever officials went to villages, the bureaucrats went to villages, the Tahsildar, the Circle Inspector of Police, the Assistant Engineer, when they went to the villages and camped, they had to be provided free services by the villagers, like putting up a tent, supplying milk, supplying food grain, etc., etc. They would camp for 1 or 2 days. So he organized a campaign against VET, saying that it is a very unlawful imposition. You can tax people legally, you can do other things legally, but you can't extract free services illegally. So he started a campaign against VET. And he wrote to the then Divisional Commissioner of Gujarat region and Bombay province by the name of Frederick Spratt. He was one of the senior most ICS officers of Bombay province, saying that in our view the VET is illegal. If it is legal, I would like to hear from you how it is legal and what government orders have really regulated this wealth. And if you don't reply by certain date, we are launching a campaign against wealth because it, in our view, is illegal. For FRAC, initially ignored the thing and the wealth campaign has been launched. And at one point of time, Pratt thought that there was something in it, serious. And he wrote a letter to Sardar Patel saying that, can you come over to my office on a such and such date to discuss this matter with you. Can you imagine what Sardar Patel's reply was? He sent back a reply saying that in our view, wealth is illegal. If you have any government instructions or regulations with regard to wealth, please send me copies thereof. I have nothing to discuss with you in the matter. And if you still want to discuss with me regarding this matter, I will be available in my office and you can come and meet me at any time. Has any Indian leader shown this kind of courage to talk to a British civilian, that to a divisional commissioner, saying that if we have to discuss, it should be in my office room and not in your office room. And this is before the famous Bardoli and all the other movements that the previous speakers have thought of. It's not merely one instance. This was, I think, 1919 or something. Patel became, in the 2020, that elections were held for municipal committees in India. Sardar Patel became the chairman of Ahmedabad Municipal Committee and Jawaharlal Nehru became the chairman of the Allahabad Municipal Committee and C.R. Das became the mayor of the Calcutta Corporation at the same time. And before he became the chairman of the Municipal Committee, he was also on the Sanitation Committee of Hyderabad Municipality. And as the member of the Sanitation Committee and as the chairman of the Hyderabad Municipal Committee, he got rid of 2 British ICS officers who were municipal commissioners for their overbearing and unscrupulous conduct. He made the Bombay government transfer them out of Ahmedabad municipality. And another white public engineer, executive engineer, he was dismissed for incompetence at the instance of Sardar Patel. Now, one can imagine, at the height of the British rule, an Indian could look the British in the eye and tell them that I will not tolerate your insolence, your arrogance and your incompetence. All the 3 of them. He got them out, all the 3 of them. Now I'll give you a couple of more interesting and little vignettes on Sardar Patel. When he was I think before he became a district leader, he had a boil on his hand. A boil. And in those days, they used to lacerate the boil with an iron rod. So he called the barber and asked him to lacerate the boil on his hand. The barber, by then already Patel was quite famous in Gujarat. He was hesitating to apply the iron rod to the boil. Then what Patel would do, he takes the rod from the barber and he himself lacerates it without twitching even an eye or showing any pain. Later, when he was doing it, his dinners in the Inns of Court in London, he had a guinea worm in his leg. A guinea worm. In those days, guinea worm was very dangerous. And guinea worms were not easy to pull out. They will break. Therefore, the guinea worm broke and he had to go to hospital. And they said, we will apply anesthesia. He said, no anesthesia, please pull out the guinea worm. And he bore the pain and the guinea worm was pulled out of his calf muscle. Why I bring out this was, even early in his life, Sardar Patel displayed tremendous courage, tremendous stoicity and ability to bear pain. I think Mr. Gopal Swami has already mentioned how, or is it Ramesh, mentioned how his wife's death, a telegram of his wife's death would not deter him from completing his cross-examination in the court. There are many, many instances like this. But Sardar Patel's greatness lay in what he did to integrate India. There are two major achievements of Sardar Patel. The first achievement was, he was the one who expedited or hastened India's independence. Gandhiji struggled a lot from 1919 to 1942, Quit India movement. And after the war, all of them and the cabinet mission in 1946 was sent out to India to negotiate with India on the future constitutional form of Indian government or Indian governance. And the National Congress pitched for full independence. If you remember, at the Lahore session in 1929, the Indian National Congress declared that not dominion status, but full independence is our goal. So in this negotiations, Jawaharlal Nehru and Gandhiji were pitching for full independence. Not so much Gandhiji as Jawaharlal Nehru. And the negotiations were not coming to any conclusion. In fact, it was almost stalemated. And Lord Mountbatten, who was the Viceroy, after the cabinet mission, he became the Viceroy because he was sent out to solve the Indian question. And Mountbatten prepared his own plan for transferring power to Indian hands. And he was camping in Shimla and he requested Nehru to go with him and spend a few days in Shimla. And Mountbatten, somehow in a hunch, he would hand over his plan to Panditji to look at the plan so that if Panditji approves, but Panditji was the vice chairman of the interim government, he would submit it to the British government. And when Panditji saw the plan, he was appalled. He thought it was balkanization of India. Because the main premise of the plan was that at the appointed date, they would hand over the power, not to a central government, but to individual states, like Bombay province, Madras province, United province, Bengal province, and I think Sindh, Northwest province, like that. I think there were 9 or 10 provinces. and that would have amounted to balkanization of India. Nehru said that this won't do, but he had no alternative plan. He had no alternative plan to suggest to Mountbatten. But by then, Sardar Patel and V.P. Menon drew up their own plan. And that plan was to give away a truncated Punjab, a truncated Bengal, along with Sindh and Northwest Frontier Province, to create Pakistan. That means they were willing to give Pakistan, which Nehru and Gandhiji were not. To give away Pakistan on the condition that immediately the power would be transferred to Indian hands. That is dominion status, which Nehru was opposed to. And that is what happened. 1947, August 15, India became independent, not fully independent, but through the dominion status. And this was the plan of Patel. Why I mention this with such emphasis is that Mr. Gopalswamy mentioned how Patel was passed over for the presidency of the Indian National Congress 3 times by Gandhiji. The first time in 29, the second time in 37, and the third time in 46. And Gandhiji gave the reason why he preferred Nehru over Patel. He gave a number of reasons. And one of the reasons he gave was that Nehru, a Harrow boy, a Cambridge graduate, and a man steeped in British culture, would be able to negotiate independence with the British better than Patel, who was a homespun hero, homespun leader from probably a remote village called Karamsad. So he preferred Nehru over Patel for that reason. And he also said that Nehru would rein in the socialists in the National Congress. He was an younger man, therefore he had greater appeal to the youth of India, and that he would also be more acceptable to the Muslims. These are the various reasons. And none of these reasons has been validated, because the socialists left the National Congress. The transfer of power to Indian hands was negotiated not by Nehru but by Patel. And Muslims did not heed to Nehru's advice. They anyway sought partition and went away to Pakistan. So, for all the reasons that Gandhiji had advanced to prefer Nehru over Patel, they were proved wrong ultimately. So, and the second one is that in offering, both in Mountbatten's plan and the earlier 1935 Government of India Act, one of the motives of the British was to break the Indian National Congress. How do they break the Indian National Congress? By transferring power to Indian hands not at Delhi but in the provinces. If the power is transferred to Indian hands in the various provinces, then the central authority of the Indian National Congress would break and there would be balkanization of India. And Patel prevented that by getting the dominion status immediately, and then the integration of the 562 states. And here again I will share with you a vignette. When he was negotiating with the Nizam of Hyderabad, the Nizam was proving very difficult. And Patel was not associated with great knowledge and brilliance and all that. But Patel very intelligently chose K.M. Munshi, his closest friend, as the agent general in Hyderabad. K.M. Munshi was the agent general in Hyderabad. And Nizam was proving very difficult, very intractable in the negotiations. And every time he was, as we say, shifting the goalposts. So there will be a negotiation, they will come to some informal understanding, and Nizam will go, his advisor was Walter Mountain. He would go back to Hyderabad and Nizam would raise another additional demand. Then it was going back and forth. So Lord Mountbatten thought that he would complete the Nizam's integration also before he laid down the office as the Viceroy, last Viceroy of India, last Governor General of India. So he negotiates with the Nizam an agreement, and Patel was not well in those, the last 2 years of his life he spent mostly in Mysore, not in Delhi. So Mountbatten takes this plan to Patel in Mysore. It was also a farewell call. He was to hand over to Rajaji as the Governor General and go back to England. This was, I think, May 1947 or something like that. And he presents this plan, this agreement, to Sardar Patel. He was on his sick bed. Patel sees the agreement, the informal agreement, and says, on my dead body, will I agree to this agreement? So Mountbatten would be very disappointed. Anyway, they say their parting words. And then as Mountbatten was about to leave, Patel asked Mountbatten, "You've been of great service to us. Is there anything that I can do to please you?" And Mountbatten says, "Please accept this agreement." And Patel says, "Since it is your last wish, I agree to the agreement." Fully knowing that the agreement, when it goes back to Nizam, Nizam will further shift the whole force and raise an additional demand. See, the brilliance of Patel lies in some of these vignettes. It shows, is amplified in these things. Unfortunately, Nehru, in his diaries, they were all together in the Ahmednagar prison in the Quit India movement. So they used to exchange notes every day. In one of his entries in his diary, Jawaharlal Nehru writes that Patel is a very intrepid fighter, but he lacks intellectual depth. And he also writes, he knows very little about international affairs. But as I had revealed to you, if you examine these vignettes, Patel had more intellectual depth than perhaps any other Indian leader. And his knowledge of international affairs, or at least his understanding of international affairs, proved far superior to that of Nehru, because Patel was the one who was the first to raise the red flag on China. But Nehru ignored the warnings of Patel, and all of us know at what cost. As I always say, Patel read the Chinese leaves far better than Nehru, who considered himself an expert in international affairs. There are many, many stories which I can relate. Most of them are encapsulated in that article that I wrote, which I hope they will circulate to all of you. With these words, I thank Sudal Sen in his absence, and Surinarayan and others for bringing me all the way from Hyderabad to be with you this evening and share my views on Sardar Patel, and I always felt that Sardar Patel was the best Prime Minister that India never had. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We now humbly request the Honorable Governor to distribute the prizes to the winners of the oratorical competition conducted as part of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel's birthday celebrations. Ladies and gentlemen, in English, the first prize goes to S. Deepika of Sri Shankara Senior Secondary School. Apart from the certificate, she is also receiving a book for the wonderful speech which she delivered. This is followed by a second prize to R. Sahitya from T.S. Senior Secondary School, Mylapore. R. Sahitya from T.S. Senior Secondary School will receive the second prize. Third prize goes to Shriya Sumedh Kulkarni. She also won the third prize in the Hindi oratorical competition from Sri Shankara Senior Secondary School. In Tamil, the first prize goes to Sivarshiya Vijay from Sri Shankara Senior Secondary School, Adaya. She is also receiving a book for a wonderful speech which she delivered, the web return if possible. Then the second prize goes to E. Sai Sandhya from P.S. Matriculation Higher Secondary School. Third prize to R. Kavya from Manilal M. Mehta Girls Higher Secondary School, Parktown. Next we have for Hindi, first prize to Shrivats Natarajan, DAV Boys Senior Secondary School, Gopalapuram. Second prize to Kriti Jain from SKPD Charities, Maharishi Vidya Mandir, Chule. Consolation prize to Sutapa Chandaroy, Sri Shankara Senior Secondary School, Adayar. For oratorical competition in Telugu, the first prize goes to Lakshmi Sharanya B, Sri Shankara Senior Secondary School, Adaya. Second prize to Advait Mandata, Sri Shankara Secondary School, Adaya. Third prize to Ishwari Aradhya B, Sri Shankara Senior Secondary School, Adaya. In Gujarati, the first prize to Pia Jimit Shah, Bhavan's Rajaji Vidyashram, Kilpok. Second prize to Anita S. Manilal M. Mehta Girls Higher Secondary School, Parktown. Third prize to Neil R. Desai, Sri Shankara Senior Secondary School, Adayar. At the college level for the English oratorical competition, the first prize goes to Mercy Jabranidi Women's Christian College, Mingambakam. One for the Telugu, the second prize goes to Jesslyn George. Third prize to E. Sedu Rakshana, Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research, Selu. She has also won the second prize in the Tamil oratorical competition. Under the college category for the Tamil oratorical competition, the first prize goes to Palani M. Kumar, Government Law College, Chengalpattu. He has also won in the Telugu oratorical competition, third prize in the Hindi oratorical competition, and third prize in Gujarati oratorical competition. The third prize goes to K. Vaishali, School of Excellence in Law, Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, Perungudi. For the Hindi oratorical competition, the first prize goes to Shamli Yes from Dwaraka Das Govardhan Das Vaishnav College, Arumbakam. Second prize to Aditi Mishra, MOP Vaishnav College for Women, Nungambakam. Under the college category for the Telugu oratorical competition, the third prize goes to Anjali Kanwar, K, MOP Vaishnav College for Women. She has also won in the Hindi the consolation prize. For the Gujarati oratorical competition, the first prize goes to Prajapati Srishti, Kamalesh Bhai, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Katangula. Santa Vijay Jain College, Veperi. The Honorable Governor to felicitate to M.R. Venkatesh, advocate, author and progressive thinker, for the wonderful speech delivered on Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Good round of applause. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We request the Honorable Governor to felicitate Ms. S. Siyasha Abhirami of Tamil Nadu National Law University, a student from Tamil Nadu National Law University, for the excellent speech on Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Thank you, sir.
Distinguished dignitaries on the dais, esteemed invitees, and dear students. Today, the entire country is celebrating this day as the National Unity Day, very aptly on the birth anniversary of the great man who made this unity possible. Today is special. It is 150th birth anniversary of Sardar Patel, and the jest with which the whole country is celebrating. In itself is something to be celebrated. We know, at least, we know some of what he did, because he did much more than what we have been talking about. But unfortunately, his memory was receding from the collective consciousness of our people. It was made to appear as if our independence was a very friendly match. It is called transfer of power. It came to us through an act of British Parliament. And when we think of independence, again it's perhaps unique in the world that a country gets independent after a long period of subjugation, and its head of a state remains the same foreigner, continuing to be the boss. And when we say 15th of August 1947, we celebrate as Independence Day of India, was the whole nation, whole India made independent on the day? We know that on the day the first India was truncated, by those very power, by those very people whom we have been all the time glorifying, and at the time there were more than 560 independent countries within India. They were not just princely estates. Because of the lapse of paramountcy, they have all become independent. And this great man made it possible to unite. And so we remember him on this day. And we are trying to know more and more about him, study more and more about him, not merely as an act of gratitude, because the person who sacrificed his whole life and who achieved so much, forgetting such a person, such a leader, of course it would be an act of ingratitude. So we remember also what he did, and it is also important that how he did it. We talk about how he united, not that how, but we talk about that he united India, brought all those small and large, because some of the princely estates which had become independent were larger than many European countries. Some of them were larger than France. But how he did it? I think history becomes relevant also from the point of view that we learn lessons from it. First, the sacrifices that went into getting the independence. It appears to us the kind of literature that we have been teaching to our students as if there was nothing much happened. The fact that the millions of people, they gave their lives, millions and millions. In fact, I often say that when I came to this estate, Tamil Nadu, and I wanted to know the number of freedom fighters from this country, from this estate, I got a list which was under 40. And when in my tour to the state, when I found that there were a lot of people admirer of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, all over the state, and when we started identifying, we launched a special research project, and we could identify so far more than 4,600 people from this place who had gone and joined the Indian National Army and fought the British. More than 4,600 who went from this land. Not that Tamil people who were in Burma and Malaysia, I'm not including them, they went from here. Now that's one part of it, and the number is increasing. We think that it could be more than 5,000. So many, and many of them, they gave their life. So many. So independence that has come at such a heavy cost, we must be aware of the cost of it. Then we cherish the value, the worth of it. It didn't come as it is made to believe by many or by some. Sardar Patel, his work, it needs to be researched more and more studied, more and more documentation has to be done. It's also because we know that generations learn from the elders. Yada achariti shrestha tatra devi tarojana sa yat pramanam kurte lokas tadanu vartate. as our leader, as the one who leads, their life becomes the guiding force for us. So what Patel did, it needs to be researched, documented more and more, not just merely a few anecdotes. How he did it, it was extremely difficult task. Imagine more than 550 independent countries within Bharat, negotiating with them, and within a spell of less than 2 years, bringing them all, merging them into Bharat. It needed extraordinary clarity of vision, what the person wanted to achieve. It needed enormous conviction that yes, we have to achieve, and an extraterrestrial deftness, Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed, how he applied all, and it was not uniform. When, imagine, small states also, when you make them merge, how do you merge? How do you organize them? Imagine 222 small states, first united them as the United States of Kathiawad and then merging into largest. More than 26 states on Odisha, how to merge them? All these and different tactics. As I said, it's a lesson, well documented. It would be a lesson for us for the future, how to govern, how to negotiate successfully, and how to achieve something so seemingly impossible. Even, we often talk about some states, those who are difficult, those who were not willing to come. What was the role of Sardar? How did he manage? He was, people often say that, okay, he rebelled, he didn't listen to Prime Minister, and it's not so. He believed, he was a highly disciplined person. He believed in hierarchy. But he had a way of protesting. In fact, the anecdote, or it's not an anecdote, it's a fact recorded, that when Hyderabad issue came, and Razakars were playing havoc with the people, because the desire for independence was there all over. Because senior advocate, Venkatesh mentioned about Bharat. There was no division in Bharat. It was India which was in pockets. Bharat was one. So the desire for independence, the urge for independence, the angst for freedom, it was all over. But when Hyderabad Nizam, his Razakars began committing atrocities, worst form of atrocities, and when Committee on Defense of the Cabinet kept meeting again and again, and Prime Minister kept deferring, saying that if we use force, what would the international community say? He was always conscious about that. In fact, in one such meeting, Sardar left the meeting in a huff, took the paper, he said, look, I'm not being part of it. It created a crisis. Governor General Raja Upalchari, he went trying to mediate. He says, no, I'm not coming for it. I see every day, I get the news that what atrocities they are committing, and we are sitting witness to it. As luck would have it, a few foreigner women were assaulted. And when foreigner women were assaulted, that news was published. Then Prime Minister got the courage. okay, now we can say that yes, now we can act. And then the green signal was given, and within no time, Hyderabad was merged. Every incident, even Manipur, the way it was merged, every merger is a story, is a case study. And we need more researches. I wish our universities have Sardar Patel chairs, where serious people, serious researchers should do their studies. I would also suggest whether can we think of whether, I know that it would need resources, but I think resources can be mobilized. Now this trust, Sardar Patel Trust, Memorial Trust, Bhavan has been doing a series of exceedingly good work. Can we think of sponsoring researches? Some scholars come, they send a proposal. We want to do the research on, Sardar Patel, a PhD. Most of our PhD scholars in our state are doing without any stipend. We have about 6,500 PhD we produce every year through our state universities. They hardly get any amount. No, they all pay from university. Very few of them, they get only 5,000 rupees. Very handful of them, with our encouragement and initiative, they have started getting, UGC, that net JRF, Junior Research Fellow of the UGC, where they get some decent money. But they are very handful of them. Now we can think of offering some research, this fellowship for research on Patel. We can think of one or two fellowships. Willing candidates can submit their proposal, committee can scrutinize it and can sanction it. Okay, you go and do with this university. Universities will be happy to do it so long they don't have any obligation, financial obligation. We need more researches. We need more studies. We need to document those. It's not enough to just one day in a year gather and then talk about it. It has to be institutionalized. It has to be celebrated. At the same time, through deep dive researches, it has to be documented to make it helpful for us today and for our future generations. I am thankful to Sardar Patel Memorial Trust and Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan to organize this event. I would like to congratulate the prize winners. They have done phenomenal work. They have done very well. We heard some of their speeches, very inspiring, very encouraging. I wish all of them the very best. And I wish everyone the very best on this day of unity. We'll keep celebrating Sardar in our heart, and we must also keep celebrating Sardar in our higher educational institutions through more and more researches on him. Thank you very much. Bharat Mata.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we now request Thiru K.J. Suryanarayanan, Secretary, SUPM Trust, Chennai, to deliver words of thanks.
Your Excellency, Honorable Governor of Tamil Nadu, you have been a great source of inspiration, support and encouragement to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel Memorial Trust for the past several years from the day you assumed office as the Governor of Tamil Nadu. We have not enough words to express our sincere gratitude to you, sir, and the entire Governor's Secretariat for giving us all the support and encouragement to celebrate this day in a most befitting manner to suit the status of our Iron Man of India. We have heard you today, sir, and we assure you that both Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel Memorial Trust and Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan Chennai Kendra will take every effort forward to make this a movement in every nook and corner of Tamil Nadu to realize that here is a man who has integrated this nation but sung less. With this assurance, I thank every one of you for being here today and making this event a memorable one. We have heard a prodigious speech from a former governor, Thiru P.S. Ramohan Rao. I don't want to mention his age. At his age, he is able to speak at length. That shows his involvement in the nation in particular and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel to such extent. We thank all our guests and invitees, and I would humbly request our governor to please pose for a photograph with the judges, without whom the competition could not have been completed at all. The judges from Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan Radha Vidyasam School have always been so kind and encouraging, and they did not have anything in mind except to spot talent of the students. I thank the parents who encourage the students to take part in all the competitions, and we do not have enough words. We are all filled with joy. And when Mr. Gopal Swami sir said several words recalling the greatest contribution of Sardar Patel, but he did mention that speaking at the end, we find not enough words because everything else has been spoken. But Mr. M.R. Venkatesh mentioned that India always believes in soul and spirit. I did notice, sitting from behind, the student speaker, Divya Suresh, was speaking in such a way, inspired so much of Sardar Patel, but I found her always lifting her left foot up. This is the same situation that I found today in the statue that stands tall in front of Raj Bhavan. This cannot be a mere coincidence. This country, the spiritual country, always believes in the spirit, and I strongly believe the spirit of Sardar Patel is amongst all of us today, and let us rededicate ourselves to keep this country the greatest nation in the world. With these words, I extend a hearty thanks to every one of you, with a particular gratitude, extending our gratitude to our Honorable Governor. Thank you very much.
We request all the judges to kindly join for the group photograph. We request the judges of the oratorical competition to kindly for the group photograph. One photograph, we request all the judges to kindly. The photographs will be sent to your institutes now. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we now request all of you to kindly rise up for the national anthem.